Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So with the deep dives of Omega Sentinel and Captain Britain Betsy Braddock app, I decided it's a perfect time to remind everybody about the balancing program and also just to warn people and just to reiterate my personal position on it as well. So we do have this major post that had 61,000 views. It's a massive post, 581 comments, probably like 1,000+ comments, just majority, well, many of them got deleted because they do like to delete a lot of negative feedback. And Kabam is still sticking to their guns. So this is quite literally Kabam saying, we want to do this. Every single player actively saying, we hate this. We don't want this. And Kabam just blanking everybody in the community. So much for improved communication, because they haven't replied to any meaningful post on this thread for like last 15 pages. If you don't know what balancing program is, it's a basic idea that every champion released from March onwards, yes, that includes Omega Sentinel and Captain Britain Betsy Braddock, can be altered down the line. They're going to release the champion, they're going to leave them in the game for a month or two, then they're going to organize a beta test where they will have altered those champions if they think they are under or overperforming, and then based on the results of those beta tests and feedback, they will update those champions 6 months down the line. So Omega Sentinel is getting released in the game in March. Realistically, we're going to see the final version of that champion late August, likely in September. Now, the biggest problem with that is that in this game, we pay for those champions, or we put in a lot of work trying to acquire them. I would have no issue with balancing updates and things like that if they would just give us all the champions for free, you know? But it isn't the case. In no other walk of life, anybody would ever agree to that. You wouldn't buy any good from a retailer. You wouldn't buy a laptop from a retailer with the condition that they will figure out 6 months down the line whether that laptop they are selling me is too good or not good enough. Then knock on my door and either take out half of my RAM or add some additional features. Nobody would be okay with that. Especially because it's their decision at the end of the day. It's not down to us. And this is a perfect example to show what we really are losing as a player base right now. Because for all intents and purposes, these deep dives obviously are not, you know, finished kind of like champion reviews. It might be misleading, and it might turn out that Captain Britain is amazing. At the moment, she looks meh. At the moment, she definitely looks like a champion. I would never have any particularly big interest to go and open a lot of crystals. She looks like a mediocre champion. Like, I don't think there's much she would add to my account. On a flip side, we have Omega Sentinel, and Omega Sentinel looks crazy good. Omega Sentinel looks like a champion I would absolutely love to have. I genuinely would love to have Omega Sentinel. I would try to open some cabs for her. She looks like one of the best champions I have seen in, you know, recent history. And I would potentially even consider grinding her, even though I denounced arena grinding, you know, 6 months ago. Which, you know, I will not grind for her because of the balancing program. But the point is, Omega Sentinel looks really good. Captain Britain Betsy Braddock looks really bad. Right now, in September, it can turn out that Omega Sentinel gets tuned down and is going to be a worse version of herself. And Captain Britain gets tuned up and might actually be the better of the two champions after the tuning changes. Who knows? And that uncertainty, you know, is more than enough to prevent me from giving Kabam money for these champions and actively pursuing and grinding for them. I would give away the idea that Captain Britain Betsy Braddock would potentially become a good champion instead of being mediocre or bad champion. I would give that potential away in a heartbeat if I would just get the confirmation that Omega Sentinel will not be changed. That is what we are effectively looking at here. You know, the balancing program effectively, if Omega Sentinel turns out to be absolutely magically insane, is going to effectively bring her down, or could do it, And Captain Britain Betsy Braddock, let's say she's underperforming, is going to pull her up a bit. I don't care about underperforming or decent or good champions too much. I really don't. You know why? Because I'm not going to actively pursue them. I'm not going to actively open cow crystals for her either way. Unless she's amazing. But I would for crazy and great and amazing champions. And that is the difference there. I would give away the idea of Captain Britain Betsy Braddock ever becoming a decent champion in a heartbeat. It does not matter to me. If that would ensure that Omega Sentinel does not get altered. And I think that would be the case with pretty much everybody playing this game. Because that is how we decide, you know, which champions we pursue, which champions we invest our resources in. And putting it all in a flux in a game that's already heavily RNG reliant makes it borderline impossible to win. You basically make a fool's bet. Because Omega Sentinel, if you get her as 6-star right now and you rank her up, you give her all the 6 stones and then they tune her down. And will they give you your money back? No. Will they give you rank down tickets? No. Will they refund your 6 stones? No. So how the hell anyone is supposed to make a decision here? And yes, maybe Kabam can effectively kind of restore our faith in this balancing system if they do their job like super on point. If, you know, they don't touch any champion that's simply good and amazing and only fix some broken mechanics and then, you know, boost up all the bad champions. But let's face it, they have historically awful track record here. They argued that Namor's healing is too much, which it wasn't. They reduced the speed of Namor's ramp up, which, you know, was still too slow in most players' opinions. Most players didn't really want to play the Namor because of that ramp up time and the level 3s. And they still increased that ramp up time. At the same time, they look at that Invisible Woman, a champion that everybody wants to get, you know, looked at and could use to be improved, and said, no, she's fine. They looked at Ronin and said he's doing fine, and then they buffed him up not too long down the line. They looked at Ebony Maw and balanced him so little that they had to buff him up again. They have horrendous track record, and there is zero faith that they will be able to execute this program completely. But there has to be that if they want us to commit our money and effort. And they're simply not there. What makes it worse, they have been talking about this communication and then they haven't followed through time and time again. This own thread at the bottom of it states, going forward, communication is going to be paramount, blah, 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 blah. And then they leave page after page after page of comments and concerns unanswered. There are legitimate questions, legitimate arguments that players have, and they just ignore all of them. So not only their track record is horrible, their current record is awful. And then when we did get one answer, it was just absolutely atrocious example of how not to talk to your community. We have been replying to any valid questions. No, you haven't. There have been hundreds of other valid questions. But also we aren't going to be repeating ourselves or commenting on things off topic. Really. Just such an asshat. And this is the company that we are meant to trust, you know, to manage this balancing program well. I'm not gonna lie, you know, if it's done, you know, with best interest of players at heart, this balancing program can be good. But no one, I know at least, has faith that it will be good because it's Kabam. And this is the best example right here, right now. Omega Sentinel, champion that so many people want, looks so awesome. Everybody's afraid she's going to get tuned down. And we have Captain Britain, who looks mediocre. And, you know, yeah, she might get balanced up, but, you know, so what? she could have just as easily gotten a buff if they left buff program properly alone and did the 3 or 4 buffs before like they used to, you know. So the bottom line is, I strongly hope that Kabam is going to abandon the balancing program. I really, truly do. And until they do, I genuinely recommend for people to abandon cow crystals, abandon feature arenas, and let them feel that you're not happy with the decision. Simple as that. I'll not be grinding for any of the new champions. I'll not be posting any cow crystal openings for them. Let them understand that these conditions are not acceptable, because we wouldn't accept them in any other aspect of our lives. We wouldn't purchase anything with the idea that the company we buy something from can come back 6 months down the line and ruin what we bought. Now, they might not necessarily do it, just like with Omega Sentinel. Omega Sentinel, you know, might not get tuned down, but the fact that they could is already too much. And remember, this is going to be a factor for every single newly released champion. Every single one. And I will keep reminding everyone that this is what's going to happen. It's just very easy to relive that frustration now that we have a perfect example here. Again, I would trade away the idea that this champion could potentially be balanced up a bit in a heartbeat for knowledge that this champion will not be tuned down. And I just refuse to put in effort to get these champions until I know exactly how they're going to look like. And I'll definitely not going to give them my money for them. I hope you don't either. See you guys.
Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about